All right, so we made it back to the woodyard from our trek north to Canada. Man, what a weather difference it was. When I left here, it was 80 degrees, and when I got up there, it was snow and ice everywhere. 40-degree temperature change. But anyway, we've got her back here in the yard, and what I want to do today is kind of talk to you about what influenced my decision to purchase this machine, to order it early on, and the top 5 reasons why I came to the conclusion that I did. We'll talk about some of the options that I got with this machine, some of the options that I chose not to get with this machine, and I'm going to show you some features that I haven't seen shown on some other videos about the EVO so far, but I think are worth taking note of. So that's what I want to do right now. We'll get started with our walk around. So the wind is blowing today. I'm going to try to keep you out of the wind, but I've got 5 reasons why I decided to purchase this machine, and the number, I'm going to count them down 5 to 1. And the number 5 reason is obvious: more production, right? I've been trying to up my production for a long time now. We've increased a little bit, kind of bounced back a little bit, but we're gearing up to try to get to that 100 cord a year mark, and that's my goal. Once we get to that point, maybe I'll set a new goal, I don't know. But production is the main goal here, and this machine is going to help me get there. That's number 5. Now, moving on to number 4, part of the reason that influenced my decision here is that I'm getting prime logs now. Working with Chaz and having the grapple truck allows me to bring long poles to the yard, and I kind of get to choose what poles I want to bring. If they're gnarly, crooked looking stuff, we've got other guys that will take them, or we've got the mulch place we take them to. But the really nice logs that I'm able to pile up here now justifies having a processor. Not that this machine isn't capable of putting a little banana through it or something that's not perfectly straight, which we'll talk about here in a minute, but the straighter the better, obviously. And now that I'm getting that kind of wood here, that's the number 4 reason why I thought maybe this would be a good fit. Now, number 3 is the changes to the woodyard, right? I'm not stacking my firewood anymore. We're doing the bins, we're doing piles, and feeding out of this machine right onto the conveyor is going to allow me to make some big piles really, really quickly. So that was number 3. And number 2 is just the high quality, tough, heavy built ruggedness of this machine. It's in a class of its own. I know some people have said that, tried to compare it to some of the other machines out there on the market that are smaller bar saw type processors, but I honestly believe that it's not an honest comparison. That those machines, there's nothing else on the market of this size that's built this heavy and with this amount of features and technology and innovation in mind, and we'll go through some of that as well. But I mean, this is the cream of the crop for the smaller processors. There's no 2 ways about it, and that was a big influence in pulling the trigger as well. And now number 1 is probably the most personal reason why I decided to order this machine very early, and that is kind of similar to what Mike Morgan said in his video when he got his EVO, talking about his son Hunter and spending time with him. I'm trying to buy time back for my children, their sports, my family. Something that would have taken me a day and a half or 2 days to do here in the yard, cutting wood, splitting wood, I'm now going to be able to do in probably half a day. So I'm investing a little bit into my family, if you want to call it that, and I never miss a baseball game. I never miss a softball game, and I try to be super involved with my kids and all that they have going on. So I am buying time back by having this machine, and that is the number 1 reason. But like I said, that decision did not come without resistance or reservation. I kind of battled back and forth in myself whether or not I wanted to do this and make this jump, and my wife was in my ear the whole time trying to tell me the reasons why I didn't need this. So there were some lengthy, I wouldn't say heated conversations, but serious conversations that were had between my wife and I about this decision. And I actually laid it out on paper for her and tried to explain, because she's not here. She doesn't see what goes on, the amount of effort, the amount of work, the amount of time that certain things take, and how you can cut time down, cut wear and tear down on her husband, my back and my legs and all that good stuff. None of us are getting any younger. So we went back and forth on that a little bit, and I got her on board to a point where I was able to pull the trigger. And so if you're contemplating, I'm sure some of you are in the same situation that I'm in. You know, it's not an easy decision to make. It's something that you definitely have to put some thought into. But know that all of us are going through the same thing. So let me take you around the machine here. I want to show you some things that you might have seen on other videos, but I also want to show you some things that you may not have seen or may not have been talked about. And also, I know at least one thing none of you have seen. So one of the things you may have not seen before, I think it's new to this machine actually, is the engine guard. A Gauge fabricated and made up a really nice looking engine guard to protect that Briggs & Stratton 40 horse engine sitting inside there, and it looks really good. It'll keep any weather out of there, protects the engine. God forbid something might fall on it. So that is another feature that has been added, and that's one of the things that I've noticed about Eastonmade throughout the years is they are constantly listening to their customers and realizing different things that they can change about machines, not just the EVO, but all their equipment, constant improvement. So this is one of the changes that they've made here early on, is adding this engine guard. I also wanted to give you a close-up, more direct view of all the controls here. It's a pretty simple operation. It's just a muscle memory thing to where you don't need to look at the labels to find out what you're doing, which should come pretty quickly. But I wanted to show you all the controls on here in a close-up fashion. This control all the way over to the right, this works your in-feed table. So left, forward, reverse, your saw and your clamp go up, and when you bring your clamp down, once the clamp is activated, it automatically activates the saw. The next lever over is your wedge adjustments. Bring your wedge up, bring your wedge down, and your live deck in and out. Your emergency stop button here, this will, once you activate the emergency stop, all the controls will work with the exception of the saw. The bar saw will not operate if that button is activated. For the gas version, you've got your throttle control here, your very slick, innovative auto cycle. Pull one lever down and it automatically cycles, and then your key with your engine start and stop is right here. And just to the left of the controls are to drop down your live deck or put it up for transport, and then your control for the conveyor, forward and reverse. Now, speaking of the conveyor, you notice that this particular EVO does not have the conveyor. I opted not to get that option because I've already got the 24-foot conveyor here, and I didn't feel like it was necessary. Now, one of the things that I had in mind when I ordered this without the conveyor is that the way I'm doing my piles now, as the pile grows and I need to move the machine forward, I would have to get the processor out of the way, come back in, move the conveyor forward, and then back the processor back up to the conveyor, right? And that was something that I was willing to do. It was just part of the process. Well, unbeknownst to me, Andrew and the guys up there have solved that problem for me, because if you look underneath here, you can see there's a pintle hook under there. Now what that means is, let me walk you over here to the truck. What that means is they have supplied an extra plate for the bottom of my conveyor, which is right here. Just take out some bolts, take the old bottom plate off, and mount this new plate on. And you can see it's got the ring for the pintle hook right here. And what that's going to enable me to do is connect my conveyor to the rear end of this processor, so that when it's time to move, all I got to do is hook up to the processor and we will pull this forward as a complete unit, which I thought was absolutely fantastic. But it didn't stop there, because if you look inside here as well, you can see some quick connects. 1 and 2, a male and a female. And what they've also done is fabricated and made some custom hoses that I'm going to be able to disconnect from the motor on my conveyor and plumb the hydraulic lines from the conveyor right to this machine, and I will be able to operate my conveyor right from this handle here, and I will only need to run the engine on the processor. I won't even need to operate the engine on the conveyor any longer, because it will be a complete independent off of this machine. So a couple of fantastic things there as well. So I opted for the 40 horsepower Briggs & Stratton gasoline powered version of this machine. It's currently got the 8-way wedge sitting in it, but I also ordered the 6-way and the 12-way wedge for it with the 30-ton cylinder. Now, while I was in Canada, Andrew explained this to me, and here at the bottom of the saw, you'll see this slew ring that runs around the outside. Now, to me, that didn't mean much, but once he explained things to me, it made a lot of sense, and just shows you how he takes things to the next level. Because most of the time on these bar saw machines, your bar is connected to the motor of the saw, and as the saw rotates, the motor rotates with the saw. What that does is it pulls on your hoses every time the motor rotates. It changes the weight and the dynamic of the saw pressure as it rotates, because your center of gravity, or whatever you want to call it, is changing. With this slew ring, all of this stays stationary all the time, no matter where your bar saw is in its cut. So I thought that was a pretty neat feature as well. The machine runs a 404 chain, throws out some big chips, and your bar oil adjustment, should you need to make any adjustments, is right here. Simple turn of the valve and you can adjust the flow of your bar oil. Obviously your bar oil tank is right there next to the adjustment. There's a heavy duty 8,000 pound axle under this machine with 8 lugs, and another thing that you notice is the hose protection. Anywhere where there's hoses that are in contact with the frame of the machine or anything like that, they've taken the time to put the hose protection to keep those hoses from chafing, which I think is fantastic. I mean, it's just little things like that that get overlooked, or you know, manufacturers try to cut costs by not doing those little things, and then you have to deal with it later on. So just some first impression type things that I've found that I think are really cool that I hadn't noticed in other videos. I will tell you that when I first arrived at Eastonmade and I went back and saw the machine, it is bigger in person than the videos indicate, right? I knew it was a pretty good sized machine. However, once I got next to it, it's actually even bigger. And I've said that since the beginning about Eastonmade products. Until you can get your hands on one, stand next to one, see one run, you can't truly appreciate the ruggedness of this equipment. So this will be here in June for the fellowship at the furnace, and if you'd like to get your hands on one of these and run it, I know that they're going to be pumping them out here, and there's going to be more of these out in the wilderness. But if you don't have a chance to see one in person before June, when we host the fellowship here, come on out, get your hands on the controls, and run a processor. So it was too much for me to actually run the machine today, cut some wood to show you. There's been plenty of that on there already, but we will be cutting wood coming up here next week with this machine. I'll be getting used to the controls. I'll be getting more proficient and efficient with the operation of this machine. But I thought it was going to take some time for me to show you around, relay some information that I thought was important that I didn't realize. So hopefully this video gives you a little more insight on the Eastonmade EVO. Tomorrow night is officially the Thirsty Thursday. Obviously we delayed it. We postponed it a week after last week because I knew I was going to get this, and Andrew Easton himself will be joining us on the live stream. So if you have questions, he'll be there to answer them. I'm sure he's got some stuff that he wants to talk about as well, because if you want one of these, get on the list soon. They are backing up. That's it for today. Hope to see you either tomorrow night or next Wednesday at 7 a.m. Take care, everybody.